These impressive man-made structures were constructed thousands of years ago, during ancient history, and showcased some of the most advanced architecture and engineering of early human civilization. So let's dive in and explore what exactly these 7 wonders were. Number 7. Great Pyramid at Giza. The Great Pyramid at Giza was constructed between 2589 and 2566 BC during the reign of the Egyptian pharaoh Khufu and was the tallest man-made structure in the world for almost 4,000 years. It is thought to have been completed by his successor Khafre at a height of 146 meters with a base of 230 meters using over 2 million blocks of stone. Excavations of the interior of the pyramid were only initiated in earnest in the late 18th and early 19th centuries, and so the intricacies of the interior which so intrigue modern people were unknown to the ancient writers. It was the structure itself with its perfect symmetry and imposing height which impressed ancient visitors. At the time Diodorus was writing, the pyramid may still have been sheathed, at least partially, with the white limestone facing that made it shine brightly for miles around. Number 6. Hanging Gardens of Babylon. The Hanging Gardens of Babylon, if they existed as described, were built by Nebuchadnezzar II between 605 to 562 BC as a gift to his wife. They're described by Diodorus Siculus as being self-watering plains of exotic flora and fauna reaching a height of over 23 meters through a series of climbing terraces. Diodorus wrote that Nebuchadnezzar's wife, Antis of Media, missed the mountains and flowers of her homeland, and so the king commanded that a mountain be created for her in Babylon. The controversy over whether the gardens existed comes from the fact that they are nowhere mentioned in Babylonian history and that Herodotus makes no mention of them in his descriptions of Babylon. There are many other ancient facts, figures, and places Herodotus fails to mention, however, and there is some doubt as to whether he actually visited Babylon. Diodorus, Philo, and the historian Strabo all claim the gardens existed, but it may be they confused Babylon with Nineveh, which was famous for its gardens and parks. If the Hanging Gardens did exist, they are said to have been destroyed by an earthquake sometime after the 1st century. Number 5. Statue of Zeus at Olympia. The Statue of Zeus at Olympia was created by the great Greek sculptor Phidias, known as the finest sculptor of the ancient world in the 5th century BC. He also contributed to the Parthenon in Athens through the statue of Athena that once stood inside the temple. The statue of Zeus depicted the god Zeus seated on his throne, his skin of ivory and robes of hammered gold, and was 12 meters tall, designed to inspire awe in the worshippers who came to the temple of Zeus at Olympia. The travel writer and historian Pausanias describes the statue, which was regularly referred to as the god. The temple at Olympia fell into ruin after the rise of Christianity and the ban on the Olympic Games as pagan rites. The statue was carried off to Constantinople where it was later destroyed, sometime in either the 5th or 6th centuries, by either fire or an earthquake. Number 4. Temple of Artemis at Ephesus. The Temple of Artemis at Ephesus, a Greek colony in Asia Minor, took over 120 years to build and only one night to destroy. Completed in 550 BC, the temple was about 129 meters long, almost 69 meters wide, supported by 127 about 18-meter high columns. Sponsored by the wealthy King Croesus of Lydia, who spared no expense in anything he did, according to Herodotus, among others. The temple dedicated to the Greek goddess Artemis was so magnificent that every account of it is written with the same tone of awe, and each agrees with the other that this was among the most amazing structures ever raised by human beings. On July 21, 356 BC, a man named Herostratus set fire to the temple in order, as he said, to achieve lasting fame by forever being associated with the destruction of something so beautiful. The Ephesians decreed that his name should never be recorded nor remembered, but Strabo set it down as a point of interest in the history of the temple. On the same night the temple burned, Alexander the Great was born and, later, offered to rebuild the ruined temple, but the Ephesians refused his generosity. It was rebuilt on a less grand scale after Alexander's death, but was destroyed by the invasion of the Goths. Rebuilt again, it was finally destroyed utterly by a Christian mob led by St. John Chrysostom in 401. Number 3. Mausoleum at Halicarnassus. The mausoleum at Halicarnassus was the tomb of the Persian satrap Mausolus, built c. 351 BC. Mausolus chose Halicarnassus, Bodrum in modern-day Turkey, as his capital city, and he and his beloved wife Artemisia went to great lengths to create a city whose beauty would be unmatched in the world. Mausolus died in 353 BC, and Artemisia wished to create a final resting place worthy of such a great king. Artemisia died 2 years after Mausolus, and her ashes were entombed with his in the mausoleum. Pliny the Elder reports that the craftsmen continued work on the structure after her death, both as a tribute to their patroness and knowing the mausoleum would bring them lasting fame. The tomb was 41 meters tall and ornately decorated with fine sculpture. It was destroyed by a series of earthquakes and lay in ruin for hundreds of years until, in 1494, it was completely dismantled and used by the Knights of St. John of Malta in the building of their castle at Bodrum, where the ancient stone blocks can still be seen today. The tomb of Mausolus is the origin of the English word mausoleum. Number 2. Colossus of Rhodes. The Colossus of Rhodes was a statue of the god Helios, the patron god of the island of Rhodes, constructed between 292 and 280 BC. It stood over 33 meters high, overlooking the busy harbor of Rhodes, and, despite fanciful depictions to the contrary, stood with its legs together on a base, much like the Statue of Liberty in the harbor off New York City in the United States of America, which is modeled on the Colossus and did not straddle the harbor. The statue was commissioned after the defeat of the invading army of Demetrius in 304 BC. Demetrius left behind much of his siege equipment and weaponry, and this was sold by the Rhodians for 300 talents, approximately 360 million US, which money they used to build the Colossus. The statue stood for only 56 years before it was destroyed by an earthquake in 226 BC. It lay in impressive ruin for over 800 years, according to Strabo, and was still a tourist attraction. Pliny the Elder claims that the fingers of the Colossus were larger than most statues of his day. According to the historian Theophanes, the bronze ruins were eventually sold to a Jewish merchant of Edessa around the year 654, who carried them away on 900 camels to be melted down. Number 1. Lighthouse of Alexandria. The lighthouse at Alexandria, built on the island of Pharos, stood close to 134 meters in height and was commissioned by Ptolemy Isoter. Construction was completed sometime around 280 BC under the reign of Ptolemy II Philadelphus. The lighthouse was the third tallest human-made structure in the world, after the pyramids, and its light, a mirror that reflected the sun's rays by day and a fire by night, could be seen as far as 35 miles out to sea. The structure rose from a square base to a middle octagonal section up to a circular top, and those who saw it in its glory reported that words were inadequate to describe its beauty. The lighthouse was badly damaged in an earthquake in 956, again in 1303 and 1323, and by the year 1480, it was gone. The 15th century Fort Cape Bay now stands on the site of the lighthouse, built with some of the stones from its ruins. So there you have it, a tour through the 7 wonders of the ancient world. From the Great Pyramid of Giza to the Lighthouse of Alexandria, these mysterious and impressive structures have captured people's imaginations through the millennia. They showcase the incredible engineering abilities of ancient civilizations and leave us in awe of what human beings were able to build thousands of years ago with rudimentary technology. Though most have sadly been destroyed through time, their legends and legacies live on. If you ever get a chance to visit Giza and see the pyramids with your own eyes, I highly recommend it so you can witness the last remaining wonder yourself. It's truly a humbling experience. Let me know in the comments what your favorite of the 7 wonders was. As always, thank you for watching. See you in the next video.